Welcome back to Solo Marvel Champion, where today I want to take a comparison look at Vision and Shadowcat. I have heard Shadowcat referred to as Vision 2.0, and I want to answer the question, for me at least, if these are the only two heroes in the game, which one am I going to play? Let's look at their cards, and then I'm going to answer that question for me. We'll start in Alter Ego. They both had 3 defense. Vision has 11 hit points and Kitty Pryde has 9. Vision has a hand size of 5 and she has a hand size of 6. Android, while you are in dense mass form, you get +2 recovery. So if you went down in dense, you now have a recovery of 5, which may or may not matter. I'll talk about that in a bit. While you are in intangible mass form, you get +1 hand size. So, aha! There's my 6 hand size, right? No, because setup is the last thing you do before you start the game. You do setup after you've mulliganed. So you're going to draw your 5 cards, mulligan, and then do setup and put your mass form into play, intangible side face up. So no, you are only starting with 5 cards in Vision. Kitty Pryde's ability is set up, put your mass form upgrade into play, solid side face up. Doesn't matter in her like it does with Vision, but you are doing that after you mulligan. Phase control, action, flip your mass form, upgrade, limit once per round. So while you're in Alter Ego, you have complete control over that. Vision has complete control over that while he is in hero form. Density manipulation. Action, change mass form by flipping your mass form upgrade over, limit once per round. This is the same ability, but he has control over it in Hero. She only has full control over it in Alter Ego. Now he is a 2/0/0 with 5 hand size. We are going to show that this is actually 2/2/2. Shadowcat has a printed 2/2/2 and hand size of 5. Now her hero ability is selective intangibility. While you are in phased mass form, Shadowcat ignores guard and patrol and any crisis icons in play. That's fun, and the one that happens most is going to be the ignoring crisis icon, just because there are fewer scenarios that actually have guard and patrol minions, but there are some. I do like this 2/2/2 printed, which I'll explain in a moment. Let's look at the forms. We'll start on intangible and phased. Intangible, mass form, permanent. Vision cannot attack or defend. You just cannot do it. Of course, the deck I built for him to take on Ultron used events that dealt damage that weren't attacks. So that's how I was able to get around it in that deck. Reduce the amount of damage Vision takes from each attack by 2. And that is something that I really underestimated the very first time I played Vision. Shadowcat's mass form phased. While she is defending, she cannot take damage. And automatically you look at that and think, wow, that's a lot better. But she does have this forced response. After you attack or defend in this form, flip this card. So where Vision has full control over his form while in hero form, she does not. And here's a case where after you defend, which means you're not going to take any damage, by the way, you have to flip this back to solid. With Vision, you can stay in intangible as long as you want. In his dense form, he gets +2 attack and +2 defense. That is what makes him a 2/2/2. And there is a response after you change to this mass form, draw 1 card. That can really come in handy. Her solid form can come in handy as well. Hero resource, exhaust this, generate a physical for an attack or defense event. Response, this is not forced. After you attack or defend in this form, flip this card. So this not being forced is something I completely missed the very first time I played her. And I didn't like her because of that. I thought, okay, I attack, I have to flip. Phased, I attack, I have to flip, etc. Now there is a lot of flipping in Shadowcat, but this is not forced. You can attack 4 times and only flip on the 4th one if you want to, because that's a response and not forced. I think that is the big difference between these two heroes, their mass form upgrade. Now I could go through each of their cards, but I'm not going to, because for me, it all depends on this form card, and really it depends on this intangible and phased form. So the question I asked at the beginning, if these are the only 2 heroes in the game, which one am I playing? And for me, the answer comes down to how many minions are in a particular scenario. Vision is a lot better when you have a lot of minions, because while he's intangible, you reduce the amount of damage taken by or from each attack by 2. Now there are some minions who have like 3 attack, but way more minions in this game have 1 or 2 attack, which means you could have several minions in play with Vision, and he can basically ignore them until he wants to get rid of them. Keeping in mind that you cannot attack or defend while you're intangible. Shadowcat, on the other hand, really is going to get punished by a minion swarm, because the villain attacks, you defend and take no damage, but you are forced to flip to solid. Then, let's say you've got 3 minions, all of those are going to attack, and you're no longer in phased, so you have to find a way to get to phased, and there are ways to do that, or defend, or whatever. And then maybe, let's say on that first one, you defend, you don't take damage from it, and flip to phased. Now you have to find a way to play a defense event so you can take no damage in that phase, but it flips you back, and now you're both defended and maybe don't have any more defense events, and the last minion attacks and deals damage. So, for me, as I said, it really depends on the scenario and how many minions there are. He can ignore damage from most minions indefinitely. He just can't attack or defend while he's intangible. She has a problem defending multiple attacks in one villain phase. Which do I prefer if all things were equal? This actually gets tough because I like both. And X-Men have a lot of good support. But I think for me, if all things were equal, I would probably play Vision over Shadowcat more. And the reason I say that is I feel like Vision has more opportunities to build his deck than Shadowcat. For me personally, anyway, I feel the best way to take advantage of Shadowcat is to build all of those protection events which let you defend without basic defending. So, I can't think of them off the top of my head now. Jump Flip, Defiance, Preemptive Strike, Sidestep, I believe, is the one that prevents 3. It prevents 3, but it makes you defend. And while you're defending in this form, she takes no damage. So that prevent 3 is actually prevent all. So for me, I feel like there is only one type of deck for Shadowcat. And that is those defensive events which let you defend without basic defending. And the reason that's important is because it forces you to solid, and then on your turn, you can just make a basic attack to flip back. Now, some people are going to come at me and say, oh no, I've played this aggression deck that was amazing. And that's awesome, but my play style for her is protection and use those certain events. Vision, I can see playing in multiple aspects, and I mean, the intangible thing I really love. I underestimated that when I first started playing him, but that is so big, primarily because of that, reducing the damage by 2 while you're intangible. So you reduce all your damage by 2 while you're intangible, and then you flip up to, or not flip up, but flip to dense, and you get to draw a card for that. And let's go find, this is it, density control. After you change mass form, discard this, add a vision event from your discard pile to your hand. So you've been in intangible, you've tanked all those hits and not taken much or any damage. Then this is on the board, so you flip to mass or to dense. You draw a card, discard this, and get an event into your hand. So that's plus 2 cards. And, the one you pick is going to be your big attack event, or at least it is for me. So I think if, again, all things are equal, and they're not, but if all things are equal, I pick Vision over Shadowcat. Let me know in the comments what you think. What is your preference? And do you have a preference? I like both of these heroes. I would play with a full collection. I would play either of these. But the question I posed was, if they were the only two, which would I play? I lean towards Vision, but I really like Shadowcat too. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a marvelous day.